It's a common perception that today people are richer than ever, but that's not necessarily the case. Their paths to wealth may have differed, but all of these people have amassed massive sums of wealth. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another FTD Facts episode. Leroy Kenton here, and for this episode, we're going to be looking at the top 10 richest people in history. Now, these are in fact educated estimates, by the way, as it's completely impossible to know exactly who was the richest person ever in history. But either way, this episode will not include more recent names like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. With that said, let's jump into the list. Coming in at the number 10 spot, we have William de Warren. William de Warren, he was a Norman nobleman with a net worth of $147 billion after inflation. Under William II, Rufus William de Warren was the Earl of Surrey. William de Warren is said to have fought alongside William the Conqueror at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. At the Domesday Survey, he ruled vast lands in 13 different countries. William de Warren was one of the Norman barons summoned to a council by Duke William to oppose King Harold II's ascension to the English throne. From there, we move on to Stephen Gerard. Stephen Gerard was a philanthropist and banker from France who had an estimated net worth of $105 billion. During the War of 1812, Stephen Gerard personally saved the United States government from financial collapse and became one of the wealthiest people in America. Based on the ratio of his fortune to the current GDP, he is one of the wealthiest Americans of all time after adjusting for inflation. He devoted much of his fortune to philanthropy, particularly education and welfare of orphans. And at the number 8 spot, we have John Jacob Astor. Born in 1763 in Waldorf, which is now located in present-day Germany, John had a net worth of $124 billion. He made a name for himself in New York City as one of the wealthiest businessmen of the Gilded Age, and he amassed his fortune and wealth through a variety of business ventures, including fur trading, real estate, and investment. Now, in the year 1808, Astor, he established the American Fur Company and began establishing a chain of posts and trading settlements across the Pacific to expand his trading and shipping of furs. As demand for furs began to decline in the mid-19th century, Astor left the fur trading business in 1830, and he discovered that real estate was a more profitable way to make money. And then he amassed billions. Number 7 leads us to Alan Rufus. Alan Rufus was William the Conqueror's 11th century military companion, and he had an estimated net worth of $178.65 billion. During the Norman conquest of England, he served under William the Conqueror. Alan Rufus amassed property in Rouen in France and rose to the position of Lord of Richmond. And Alan Rufus's acquisitions throughout England came with many land titles. In 1067, he witnessed King William's charter to the monks of St. Peter's at Westminster, and Rufus had began building Richmond Castle 4 years later. He was also an active donor to several religious houses. From there, number 6 leads us to Cornelius Vanderbilt II. Cornelius, he actually ended up borrowing $100 from his mother when he was just 16 years old in the year 1810, and he used that money to amass a fortune of over $100 million. Now that is actually worth more than $200 billion today, and it was roughly equal to half of the US's treasury holdings at that time. Now the level of wealth was unheard of at the time. It elevated Vanderbilt to the ranks of America's wealthiest men, but within 50 years of Cornelius's passing, well, the Vanderbilt family fortune had vanished. This episode couldn't be complete without number 5, Henry Ford. Ford started his own business in 1901 and amassed a net worth of more than $200 billion according to modern estimates. Ford did not agree with his investors who pushed him to build expensive cars for a select few rather than affordable models for the masses, as Ford had always envisioned. And Ford ended up leaving his own company, which was later renamed Cadillac Automobile Company, in the year 1902, and instead he founded the Ford Motors Company in 1903. Aside from being a successful business owner, Ford also tried to establish himself as a politician, but he was defeated in the year 1918 during the elections. And in 1920, he even bought the Dearborn Independent newspaper, which he used to spread anti-Jewish conspiracy theories. But either way, the legacy of Ford lives on because the company still manufactures cars and trucks. William Henry Vanderbilt comes up next. His fortune was estimated to be around $230 billion. Aside from being a railroad magnate, Vanderbilt was also a major philanthropist in America. He donated to a variety of charities, including the YMCA, the Young Men's Christian Association. In addition, he established his university, Vanderbilt University, in Nashville, Tennessee. William Vanderbilt, he passed away in his New York City home on December 8th, 1885, only 9 years after his father. He was survived by his wife and 8 children. One of the more popular names on this list is Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie, he was the world's 3rd richest non-ruler and the richest non-royal British person of all time. The Carnegie family came from a long line of Scottish weavers, and in the year 1892 he established the Carnegie Steel Company, which quickly grew to become the largest steel producer in the United States and later the entire world. By the turn of the century, the company had also become the most valuable company in the entire world, and Andrew Carnegie's total wealth is estimated to be around $310 billion. Another very popular name here is John Rockefeller. In the year 1870, Rockefeller founded his own company, Standard Oil, and he is the wealthiest American of all time. As a result, the oil company was able to quickly acquire competing oil refineries. Rockefeller's Standard Oil became the world's largest oil producer by far. Rockefeller, he owned roughly 90% of the United States' total oil production at the turn of the 20th century, accounting for 85% of the world's oil production at the time. So yes, this made Rockefeller the richest man in the world with a fortune worth over $350 billion today. We end this episode off at number 1, Jacob Fugger. Jacob Fugger is estimated to be the wealthiest person who has ever lived. He was worth approximately 2.1 million guilders, which is the name of the gold coins used during the Roman Empire, which equates to approximately $400 billion today. On March 6, 1459, the German merchant was born in the free imperial city of Augsburg, which was then part of the Roman Empire, which is now modern-day Germany. The majority of Fugger's wealth came from mining and trading in metals, and particularly the metal of copper. Other than that, he was also a banker and saw pretty big successes in it. So just like that, we made it to the end of another episode. This was a look at the top 10 richest people in history. How many of these guys did you know about? And which of the mentioned people's lives and careers was the most inspiring or interesting to you? Sound off down below in the comments section. If you did enjoy this one, leave a big thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.